In this video, we're going to talk about converting to Boolean. We can do that with explicit or implicit version, and they both follow the same rule. We're going to use explicit conversion for our examples. So for our explicit conversion to Boolean, we have a function named Boolean that takes that one parameter, which is some expression, and returns a Boolean based on the evaluation of that expression, whether it is evaluated to true or false. And let's take a look at some examples. If we want to convert to Boolean some expression, well, an expression can be anything, right? We talked about 3 plus 4 being an expression. We can take that expression and convert it to Boolean, and that happens to convert to true. You could have a variable that is my expression and assign it to some value. Maybe it's true plus 1, and then we can find the Boolean value of my expression. That happens to be true. And we can also store the result of that into a variable. So my variable is true or false. And we can do that conversion of anything, perhaps a number, and it will store the result of that conversion into our variable name. And all these cases happen to be true. And let's look at what the rules are to decide if something is true or false. It's not obvious that 3 plus 4 is true. It's not obvious that my expression is true. So let's look at how JavaScript decides if something's true or false. The Boolean type can only have the values of true or false, so anything that is converted has to result in either true or false. So the first rule is for converting strings, and any empty string converts to a Boolean value of false. So here if we take Boolean of empty string, 2 quotation marks with nothing in it, that is going to return us false. Okay, let's look at the second rule. Any other value of the string type converts to Boolean value of true. So anything besides nothing inside the quotation marks is going to give us true. Well, that is why the Boolean of true gave us true. What about the Boolean of false? Well, let's look at the rule. Is it an empty string? No. So it's a value other than an empty string, so it should return us the value true. And it does return us the value true. So you have to be careful that you think through the rules to determine if it's going to convert to true or false, rather than making assumptions. Let's look at how numbers convert. The first rule is that 0 converts to the Boolean value of false. And so if we were to get the Boolean conversion of 0, we'll see it returns false. The next rule says not a number converts to the Boolean value of false. And we can use the keyword not a number to see that it's false. But we also could create an expression. Hello divided by 3 gives us not a number. So if we were to convert that expression to a Boolean, that expression evaluates to not a number, so the conversion of not a number should give us false. Then any other value converts to the Boolean value of true. Any number besides 0 and not a number will give us true. So the Boolean of 12, like we saw before, gives us true because it's not 0 or not a number. The Boolean of 3 plus 4 Well, it's two numbers added together, giving us 7. 7 is not 0, and it is a number, so it will also give us true. Next, let's look at objects converting to Boolean. The first rule is that null converts to the Boolean value false. So if we were to explicitly convert the keyword null to a Boolean, we will get false. Any other object is going to give us true. We're going to cover objects in more detail later. If it's not null and it's an object, that it will convert to true. Our last type that we need to look at for converting to Boolean is undefined. And of course, undefined has no value, and undefined converts to false. So if we had a Boolean and we passed in the keyword undefined, it will return false. We could also declare a variable, which is some new name that we haven't used before. And if we check and make sure that some new name isn't defined yet, when we convert that some new name, you'll see it will give us false. And those are all the rules for converting to Boolean, and the same rules apply whether it's implicit or explicit conversion.